Hi, this is Graphically Alex coming at you with all things fat related. If that's something that interests you, please subscribe. I love to have you. And today we are going to be reacting to Marissa Matthews, and she is a clicker. I haven't ranked zombies as much, but I need to at least have one zombie interaction per week. Well, actually, I already had one with that. Anyways, I don't want to get into that. Actually, I already had a couple. Whatever. I need to react to one on video, is what I meant. So I talk a lot about the toxic ritualistic, aka E followed by the letter D on the channel. And I like to rank certain people in severity based on The Last of Us zombie. So she is a stage 3. She is a clicker. I'm sure you guys know that. She's super reactive. She's always quick to anger. And it represents somebody that is severe in the issue. So she is severely within binge. So let's go ahead and listen to this whole clip, and then we're going to do another one too. So we're going to do 2 today.
Well, maybe I like to be strong and healthy and be able to move when I'm older and not wheelchair bound and dependent and have any other health problems. But guess what? All of that, what you just said, is full of fat phobia because it's full of assumptions and it's full of biased stereotypes. Not all fat people are wheelchair bound, okay? And there's no one disease that just affects fat people. You're gonna get sick regardless because you're gonna get old. That's how it works, regardless of your fucking weight. So no. And fat people can be strong and healthy. That's the thing. Fat people can be strong and healthy. You are full of fucking fat phobia. So get out of my page. You're not welcome here. Well, me.
Okay. So I hope you guys can see the reactivity that I'm talking about. She's very famous for this, at least back in the day when she was on TikTok. She's a very well-known fat activist from those days. She was pretty notorious, especially in the very early 2020s. And basically, you can see how she's very like angry about it, because when you are a clicker, when you're at that level of severity, you identify heavily with your size. So if somebody is critiquing fatness in general, then you're critiquing her identity. So then she feels personally attacked. And so she has to lash out as a form of self-defense, quote unquote. But she's defending the fat construct within her identity, which I will call it that, because you cannot really identify with a body size. That's not real. Body size is something that can change with time, and it's also just like it's a physical state of being. It'd be similar to identifying with being pregnant, which it's like, okay, you can be pregnant, but it's a temporary state, or it's something that will change with time. And you can be in a state of pregnancy, but that doesn't mean that you are pregnant to your identity core. It just doesn't make sense. It's the same thing with fatness or thinness or really any of it. It doesn't really make that much sense. So I think somebody could like identify with being into fitness, but identifying with being fit, it's still a little bit weird. You can be in a state of fitness. You see what I'm saying? But people don't think about that much, because I think for a lot of people it's not that deep. But when you're in the toxic ritualistic, and you can go all the way like from bingo or binge to the reductive side of it, all along that spectrum, if you overly identify with your size, then it's definitely DIS ordered. It's weird. Why? Because your size is something that needs to be maintained. And in the case of the toxic ritualistic, it can be heavily enforced. And it's just, you need to not have like a death grip on it. Okay. It's just like okay, I got a grip. Like, whatever. A light thing. Like, you see, it's like an emotional quality aspect. Like if somebody attacks, like I will say I'm thin at this point. If somebody attacks thin people, do I feel attacked? Not necessarily. No, because it's I would see it as kind of GIS ordered to group all thin people together as if they are a monolith. It's just bizarre. It's the same thing with fat. It's the same thing with fit. It's the same thing with mid-size. It's the same thing with all of it. But people within these issues do it all the time. Okay? So let's go ahead and respond piece by piece. The comment says she'll read it again. I'll let her read it obnoxiously.
Maybe I like to be strong and healthy and be able to move when I'm older and not wheelchair bound and dependent and have any other health problems. But guess.
Okay, so she doesn't like that because she doesn't want to acknowledge that there's any health issues tied to being fat. In her mind, there can't be any health issues with being morbidly obese, super morbidly obese, because she is within the issue, basically. And when you're within the issue, you always ignore health. Now, this can happen on the reductive side too. It happens all the time. Even in the fitness sphere, it happens where people will ignore health. They'll talk about like using substances and all these things, and they don't care that it's not healthy, or you know what I'm saying? So that happens all across the spectrum. I'm not just singling out fat people, but it certainly happens with fat people. And someone like her would say that everybody else has a problem, but she won't acknowledge that she still does. She very much does. This issue can go all around. And it's important to understand that all sides of this issue reinforce each other. So she can point the finger at people that are too thin for her liking, people who are too thin or skinny or whatever you want to say, people who are under can point the finger at her and say, well, what she's doing is wrong. And anybody in between who has any of those issues, they can also point around to whoever they want, basically. It's like a smorgasbord. I think that's how you say the word, of being able to point the finger. And it's all in a way to get the attention off of yourself. So that's where I think the root of this is coming from for her. But ultimately, she cannot acknowledge health. Just like an overly reductive person can't acknowledge health, just like somebody who is way drastically overtraining to the point of the toxic ritualistic cannot acknowledge health, right? You can't acknowledge the health aspect because if you do, then you have to stop. So that's why she's really, really upset about this comment, because this comment is pointing out some of the health issues that come from being hugely fat. When you are hugely fat, it's harder on your heart, it's harder on your joints, and it makes everything more difficult. For example, running. Is it easier to run when you're fat versus when you're thin? No, it's not. Even if you are relatively in shape, if you were still not fat, you would be able to run better than if you are fat. It holds you down, it holds you back. So this person wants to be healthy and strong. You can be healthier and stronger in a lot of ways because you can, get off the floor without any help. There's certain practical things you can do when you're not hugely fat. And also it's easier on your heart and joints and things like that. So you're going to be stronger for longer. Okay, be able to move when I'm older, the joints, and not wheelchair dependent or have any other health problems. So that can happen for various reasons. Because of obesity, for example, extreme diabetes, you could have to get an amputation due to diabetes if it's not treated or taken care of or not able to be handled, or any other things that involve being fat. You can also be completely immobilized because you're just too big, so you can't walk anymore. And there's a lot of fat people that does happen to, where they can no longer walk or they become bedbound. There's a lot of these different aspects. This person's probably thinking about being hugely fat, which all of that is very relevant to being hugely fat. Marissa is probably thinking about it in terms of somebody who's maybe small fat or something. So somebody who's just obese, class 1 obese. And she's like, well, they can be strong. And it's like, sure, but it's still unhealthy. Even class 1 obesity, it affects your dopamine signaling badly. It's not good for you, which that makes your mood bad. It makes it harder for you to focus on things. It complicates ADHD. It's not good. So, just saying.
guess what? All of that, what you just said, is full of fat phobia because it's full of assumptions.
It's full of assumptions. It's not really assumptions, it's a general statement. So again, you can make general statements about being hugely fat, and that's true. I was never bedbound when I was at my biggest, but I certainly struggled with sleeping. I struggled with breathing while sleeping. My knees killed. They hurt terribly at my biggest, like especially when I had a job that was more active and I had to walk all the time. It fucking killed my knees to walk because I had to walk hours a day. When you have a mobile job or when you have a job where you have to walk for hours or stand for hours and you're hugely fat, you feel it every single fucking day, how awful it is. I don't ever have knee pain now. I never do. Ever. So it's a huge difference. It's a totally different world. I'm hardly ever out of breath even. I can't even think of the last time I was out of breath. When I was super morbidly obese, it happened all the time. All the time.
And it's full of biased stereotypes. Not all fat people are wheelchair bound, okay?
No, but they could be on their way, especially if they're getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Then eventually it will happen.
And there's no one disease that just affects fat people.
Obesity-induced hypoventilation.
You're gonna get sick regardless, because you're gonna get old.
You can't breathe because you're too fat. I used to love that one because I struggled with it. The fatness becomes an obstruction to breathing, even when you're sitting up. But it also affects your hormones, and there's chemical issues as well with obesity-induced hypoventilation. So it makes you feel like you can't catch your breath at times. So, breathing is just a little bit essential, Marissa. I can talk to you like that too. Don't you think breathing's a little bit essential? I think it is. So, obesity-induced hypoventilation. That's something.
That's how it works.
You won't get as old if you're very fat. I'll tell you that much. That's how that works.
Regardless of your fucking weight.
Especially if you're very fat from a very young age. A lot of people will be like, well, my grandma's big or my grandpa's big or whatever. They weren't that big their whole life, though. It weighs down on you quite literally over time. It corrodes the system. You know that there's so many millennials that are dying due to obesity. Tons. Why? Because they started out so big from such a young age. Your body can't handle it that long. The longer you are, the worse it is. The bigger you are, the worse it is. The longer you are that big, the worse it is. And it's a combined effect. So if you're very big for a very long time, you're not going to live very long.
So no. And fat people can be strong and healthy.
No.
That's the thing. Fat people can be strong and healthy.
No. They can be less weak and less ill, but they're still going to be weaker and more ill than they would be if they weren't fat. It is a continuum. It is a spectrum. There are some people who are healthier. So they'll be like, I have good blood markers. I have this, I have that. Yeah, but your dopamine is still fried at that size. You might still have a fatty liver, even if you're just class 1 obese. You're still moodier. You're still insecure. You're still all these things. Your anxiety's higher than it would be if you weren't obese. You're having more food noise than you would have if you were not obese. It's still affecting you. You're still not healthy. You're just not as sick. Just because somebody else is sicker than you, it doesn't mean that you're healthy. That's a toxic ritualistic E fall by the letter D logic type of thing, that if I compare to somebody, then I'm okay. No, that's bullshit.
You are full of fucking fat phobia.
You don't want to hear the truth. You want to be lied to. You are delusional, Marissa. And you don't like the truth to be told to you.
So get out of my page. You're not welcome here.
Of course not, because you want to only be encouraged in your delusions. So let's go ahead and respond to some toxic ritualistic poetry. So we're going to get into it. So I just want to show you guys like how obsessed she is with her size and how much she identifies with her size.
My many insecurities are no longer a burden to me. The rolls on my body remind you of all of the space I take up. To me, they're like dinner rolls. They remind me of how there's more of me to love. The stretch marks on my body remind you that I've expanded from the size I used to be. To me, they're like lightning stripes. They remind me of all of the challenges I've faced, my permanent successes. My stomach, my boobs, my thighs, they've all grown too fast, way too fierce. It's a simple reminder that my body is changing. My double chin, round, not flat, 2 instead of 1, flat. This idea that's always been in my head, pushed by society, that my body needed to be flat in order to be desired. My extra chin reminds me that I just have more opportunities to make silly faces. 2 eyes, 2 ears, 2 chins, and it's okay. My duty in life is not meant to be beautiful. My purpose in life is not intended to be consumed for your own selfish gains. However desirable I am to you, that does not matter. That's not why I'm alive. You can't diet your insecurities away. You have to learn to accept them, to love them. Working out should be fun, not a consequence for what you eat. My body has so many hills and valleys and so many other endless shapes my body can create. My body is made of brushstrokes. Mine are different than yours. My history is seen within the folds of my rolls. The softness illustrates the oh so many landscapes our bodies encompass. Self-love is hard, I know, but we need to stop criticizing ourselves. My body, my changing body is not ruined. We need to learn to accept ourselves, to love ourselves, and accept our insecurities away. That might be a solution, because when you learn to accept something, then it's not a problem, and you can love it away.
So if you can see how, remember when I did my Brie video, where Brie is definitely a bloater. She's more advanced. She's very, very far gone. I don't know that a bloater can ever get out of it. It's that serious. But regardless, she was reading a journal entry of her at 25 years old, writing something when she was a clicker. And this is what Marissa is doing. Marissa is in that stage of being a clicker, writing toxic ritualistic poetry. And she's just reveling in it in the moment. Now, I think it's still bad and it's still DIS ordered, but it's not as severe because she's not reading it from 10 years ago. She just wrote this. So she's like, this is amazing, because she just wrote it very recently. But you can see like, she's overly identifying. She's getting worse. She's like, because what tends to happen is you have 3. So I try to tell you guys this all the time. So I'm just going to repeat it again because that's what I do. I'm trying to teach you guys about this issue. So within BINGE, and probably the other ones too, but just switch around the ratios, you have 3 parts of it. So you have bingo, so BINGE, which that's the one that most people know about. But then you also have the reductive side of it. So that's like choosing a certain diet or being reductive with the amount, although it doesn't have to be like hugely reductive, just some level of it within bingo. That's the lesser one of the of this issue. You do that one the least. And then you have body obsession. So there's 3 of them, right? And so when you're faced with an anxiety issue, or when you become anxious for any and all reasons, so it could be something triggering that occurs in your life, it could be a hormonal fluctuation that occurs within the body, it could be anything. If you are anxious for any reason at all, when you are as severe as Marissa is, you will go to one of the 3 parts of the cycle. So she is trying to not engage in bingo, and she's trying to not engage in the reductive. So the only one left is body obsession. And that's why a lot of people within fat acceptance and within fat activism, they focus so much on the body obsession because they feel that that's not harmful as the other ones. I will tell you that body obsession fuels the other ones. So when you are that obsessed with how you look that you're going to write a whole poem about it, it is very like you're putting a lot of pressure on you. So if any little thing happens, you're going to snap and you're going to go crazy with your consumption. It's very unstable. It's actually what I've talked a lot about in terms of getting out of the toxic ritualistic. Really think about how much you're obsessing about how you look. You have to stop. You have to stop thinking about it. And for a lot of people that are in the issue, it's so alien to them. They're like, everybody does that. No, it's abnormal. And even just getting somebody to question it or to think about, oh, I really am thinking about this a lot. For those of you that don't have the issue, I'm trying to show you how obsessed people are. She literally wrote this poem about it. Isn't that crazy? It's pretty wild. I don't know if I need to like play it again because it's literally just about her roles. But I guess I can comment on certain things.
Insecurities are no longer a burden to me.
So she believes that if she obsesses over how she looks, and then it's not affecting her behaviors around consumption as much, that her insecurities are no longer a burden. But they are, because they're taking up your whole mind, and they're actually taking up your art too. I mean, if you think about your artistic ability or your artistic desire or your artistic energy or effort, you're putting it towards that. It's a waste.
The rolls on my body remind you of all of
me. I'm putting my crafting abilities into my scarf. Let me show you. So if you see, this is a Saxton braid. I love it. I adore it. You guys know I love a red scarf. I love me a red scarf. I like a red scarf for multiple reasons now. I like it as an all too well scarf, but I also like it now as an unraveled scarf too. So I like it. It is the cure. But anyways, I left my red scarf there and I'm unraveled. No, I love it. So, but you see how this isn't about my body? This is just like me actually like having a creative expression. That's an actual real creative expression. This isn't me like obsessing over how I look or something. I mean, I can appreciate certain things now. Like when I look in the mirror, I like that my muscles are showing more. And I'm like, oh, I wonder where that will go. I love that. Or I like that the effort is starting to show a bit. But it's an appropriate amount of looking at it, if that makes sense. And I'm also not anxious about it. I don't feel that much. It's kind of just like a, Or for me, it was a little bit of a relief in a sense, because I was like, oh gosh, okay. Because for a long time, I was in the vanity room. I was in the vanity back rooms where I felt like I was doing all this shit and I wasn't seeing anything. But I honestly think when you're in a CalDef within vanity, you literally can't see yourself clearly. So as I've gotten out of it, I've done the reverse dye and different hormone levels are changing up and getting to be a more natural place. I'm starting to notice what has occurred. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then it's like I drove in the car today. I drove my grandma's car because we went to the British restaurant today. So I drove there and I got my shepherd's pie and my beef tallow chips. And I loved it. And I even watched the game, but I'm not going to talk about that. But I did watch the game today. So the point is, I was driving in her car, and I'm like, I haven't driven in your car since I don't think it had been since like the bra era or something. And it was like, I was like, oh my gosh, this is like a really different experience to drive this car now. Like, it was just weird. It just felt so physically different. I felt like almost like kind of small in the car. And I was like, whoa. And like just for context, like when I was at my biggest, I could barely fit in that car. Like I couldn't sit in the back seat and breathe okay. It was a struggle. It was kind of a big deal. Like it was a part of my tortured experience to be able to fit in the back seat of that car. And now it's like I'm sitting in the driver's seat and I'm like, oh my gosh, I actually feel kind of small in this car. I was like, what the hell? Like this is just weird. But it was just weird because I hadn't driven in it in like 2 years. But me and my grandma just kind of laughed about it. And we're like, yeah, it has changed. Wow, that's so crazy. Oh my gosh, wow, that's crazy. And then I just drove and then we moved on. And then I talked about Olivia or something, you know? I don't know. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's not that deep. Even when it can be drastic, it's not that deep. It's just like, oh, this is so crazy. Oh, wow, this is crazy. Wow, that's it. And then you just move on. And like for me, when I was tortured, that conversation, maybe it would have been triggering to me or something, but it just isn't even at all at this point. I literally don't care because it doesn't hold like this super deep emotional weight. Like for me, I just feel like, oh, okay, like my effort is coming through or something, you know, it's like, it's just something like that. But I hope you can kind of see how the emotional intensity behind it is appropriate. That's what I'm trying to show. That's the difference. Do I have to sit down and write a poem about it? Hell no. Hell no. Not at all.
All of the space I take up, to me, they're like dinner rolls. They remind me of how there's more of me to love. The stretch marks on my body remind you that I've expanded from the size I used to be. To me, they're like lightning stripes.
So she's trying to romanticize stretch marks, which to me, I'm pretty stretch mark neutral. Like, I just think a lot of people have them, and I think people need to just, pardon my French, but shut the fuck up about them. Like, I know that's harsh, but a lot of people have them. A lot. It's not that big of a deal.
They remind me of all of the challenges I've faced, my permanent successes. My stomach, my boobs, my thighs, they've all grown too fast, way too fierce. It's a simple reminder that my body is changing. My double chin, round, not flat, 2 instead of 1, flat. This idea that's always been in my head, pushed by society, that my body needed to.
So she has to say that society is teaching her this thing. It's not, it's your DIS order. But your DIS order is also telling you that you can't not be fat. But yes, society can reinforce the toxic ritualistic, especially if a decent amount of people in society have the issue, which they do. I talk about it all the time. It's zombie horde mentality, zombie reinforcement, mobilization of zombie forces. Basically, it does exist in society, but it is not the majority of people.
Be flat in order to be desired. My extra chin reminds me that I just have more opportunities to make silly faces. 2 eyes, 2 ears, 2 chins, and it's okay. My duty.
It's a sign of hormonal imbalance, though. It's a sign of being overweight. It's not that great. I mean, it can have to do with hypothyroidism, but there's a lot of other reasons why you can have a big face like that. It's usually not a good thing. So, and it's not just fat alone. There are other reasons that need to be explored why you have a double chin. It's not good. It isn't good. It's not a good sign. I'll put it to you that way.
In life is not meant to be beautiful. My purpose in life is not intended to be consumed for your own selfish gains. However desirable I am to you, that does not matter.
Oh, that's true. But then you'd also shut up about that too. Like, she often would try to flex that she's so desired, but then she's saying it doesn't matter if I'm not desired. I agree with you. I don't think it matters, especially if you're not interested in a person, then what the fuck do you care? That's how I feel, but I'm introverted. So, of course, if somebody thinks that I'm attractive, that's nice. That's a great thing, you know, or it's just like, oh, that's sweet, or that's nice, or somebody's like, you look good today, that's sweet, right? But if someone's like, you look like trash or whatever, I don't really care to hear that, because either A, I already know, Or B, I don't care about it, so I just let it be. Like if I just look a mess, for example. But also, like I've told you guys, I have certain boundaries, and like I've let it be known online, I don't owe anybody vanity. And I don't believe anybody owes somebody vanity weight at all. That is your decision. That is your effort, your decision, your standard, period. It is not anybody else's standard. Why? Because you're the one that has to do it and you're the one that has to maintain it. It is up to you. And it is not your job, unless if you're like a model or something, then maybe it is your job, if you're actually getting paid, to look good for other people. Okay, maybe just in certain circumstances. If it is literally your job, well, then there you have it. It is actually your job, right? But for most people, it's not. So there's that little bit of nuance there.
That's not why I'm alive. You can't diet your insecurities away. You have to learn to accept them.
I myself, when I do my vanity pursuits, when I was doing vanity downsizing, now I'm doing more recomp, even though there's like a slight vanity downsizing aspect because I am still in a tiny bit of a def and my fat is becoming muscle, so my expenditure is going up, etc., etc. It's like that's for my standard. It's for what I want to look like, or for where I think I need to be based on my height, my frame size, all that different stuff. So that's my own standard, though. I don't enforce that on other people. And I'm definitely going to be within a healthy range. Abso-fucking-lutely.
To love them. Working out should be fun, not a consequence for what you eat. My body.
I agree with her there, but it can also be something that you do because of dedication. Even if it is difficult, you can do it because you want to build something. That's also okay. You don't have to do it just for fun. But I don't agree with it as a punishment. I don't think it should ever be a punishment. But it can be a duty, or it can be something you're doing to build muscle or to be healthier.
Has so many hills and valleys, and so many other endless shapes my body can create. My body is made of brushstrokes. Mine are different than yours. My history is seen within the folds of my rolls.
My history is seen within the folds of my rolls. She is so heavily identifying with her size. Extremely so. Do you see it?
This illustrates the oh so many landscapes our bodies encompass. Self-love is hard, I know, but we need to stop criticizing ourselves, my body.
You need to stop dissociating from your body. Your body is you. As far as we are in this life, your body is you. Stop differentiating so much. You are alienating yourself from your body with this poem. It's DIS ordered. It's dissociative. It's unhealthy. You are your body. If you hate your body, you hate yourself. If you love yourself, then you love your body. You are your body. You are. And you can be frustrated about things about yourself or about your body, but it doesn't mean you have to write it all off. You know what I'm saying? It's just chill. I know that's very like reductive to say, but just chill. Like somebody can be like, well, I don't like that I'm shy. Okay, well, it may never change. Maybe you should accept that about yourself. Maybe you can just admire other people that are outgoing. That's fine. Or maybe you can work past it to a certain level. You need to get to a place where it's functional. That's also valid too. But you don't have to feel bad if you're not ever going to be as charismatic as somebody who's extroverted. You don't have to feel bad about that. You're introverted. You see what I'm saying? But you can still work on things. It's like if you're extroverted, you can work on being on your own. You can work on taking time for yourself at home. There's nothing wrong with being more balanced. It can be a challenge. It can be a healthful challenge. But it's never going to be as easy for you as it would be for an introvert to be on their own. It's never going to be that easy. And that's okay. You know, it's not, you don't have to like accept something completely, and you don't have to hate something to not accept something completely. You're thinking too black and white. There's always shades of gray with this stuff.
My changing body is not ruined. We need to learn to accept ourselves, to love ourselves, and accept our insecurities away.
But we can also learn to improve ourselves too. And that's not just within our body shape, but also within the qualities we have as a person and with who we are as a person. We can work to improve who we are as people, period.
That might be a solution, because when you learn to accept something, then it's not a problem, and you can love it away.
I don't know what she's even saying there. Anyways. Alrighty, you guys. I will talk to you guys later. I hope you guys enjoyed this. It was good to react to Marissa again. She's actually one of my favorite to react to be honest. But I will talk to you guys later. Have a good one. Peace.